Japan's transformation into a major global power between the mid-19th and early 20th century is one of the most dramatic in modern history. In the span of roughly 40 to 50 years, from the end of the Tokugawa shogunate, 1853 to 1868, to the 1930s, Japan went from a feudal, isolated society to a modern, industrialized military power. Below is a detailed breakdown of how this happened, including Western influences, internal reforms, regional conflicts, and Japan's shifting alliances. 1. The end of isolation. U.S. and European contact. Commodore Matthew Perry of the U.S. Navy arrived in 1853 with a fleet of black ships, demanding that Japan open its ports to trade. This forced Japan to abandon its isolationist policy, sakoku, and sign unequal treaties with Western powers. The shock of Western military and technological superiority prompted Japanese elites to rethink their place in the world. 2. The Meiji Restoration, 1868. The Tokugawa shogunate fell in 1868, and imperial rule was restored under Emperor Meiji. Young samurai, intellectuals, and reformers took over the government, aiming to modernize Japan by learning from the West. Major changes included abolishing the feudal system and daimyo class, centralizing government power under Tokyo, creating a national army with universal conscription influenced by Prussia, Germany, implementing Western-style education and infrastructure, adopting a constitutional monarchy, 1889, based on the Prussian model. Western influence, U.S., Britain, France, and Germany. Japan was deeply influenced by German military and legal structures. The Prussian model of governance, bureaucracy, and army discipline shaped Japan's constitution, military academy, and officer corps. Britain helped Japan develop its navy. British naval officers trained Japanese cadets, and Japan bought British-built warships. France contributed to Japan's early legal codes and military training in the 1860s. United States provided early industrial and agricultural expertise, as well as educational advisors. Japanese officials and students were sent abroad to learn from Europe and America and bring back ideas and technologies. The famous Iwakura mission, 1871 to 73, visited the U.S. and nearly all major European powers. 4. Internal challenges and how they overcame them. Samurai resistance. Many samurai lost status and income in the new order. Some revolted, most notably in the Satsuma Rebellion, 1877, led by Saigo Takamori. The rebellion was crushed by Japan's modern conscript army. Economic transformation. Japan went through rapid industrialization known as the Meiji Miracle. The government built infrastructure, railroads, factories, ports, and then privatized these assets to powerful business families, zaibatsu, like Mitsubishi and Sumitomo. Social unrest. Peasants bore the brunt of tax burdens to fund industrialization. There were uprisings, but repression and development eventually eased tensions. Feats against China and Russia. First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895, conflict over control of Korea, which had been a Chinese vassal state. Japan won decisively, shocking the world. Treaty of Shimonoseki, 1895, Japan gained Taiwan, the Pescadores, and influence over Korea. Triple intervention. Russia, France, and Germany forced Japan to return part of its spoils, Liaodong Peninsula, which humiliated Japan and planted seeds of resentment, especially against Russia. But 2. Russo-Japanese War, 1904 to 1905, fought over control of Manchuria and Korea. Japan won major land and naval victories, notably at Port Arthur and Tsushima Strait. Treaty of Portsmouth, mediated by U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt, Japan gained control over Korea, Port Arthur, and southern Manchuria. Outcome: first time an Asian nation defeated a European power in modern warfare. Japan became a full-fledged imperial power. 6. Japan in World War I, 1914 to 1918. Japan was an ally of Britain due to the Anglo-Japanese Alliance 1902, declared war on Germany and seized German colonies in China's Shandong Peninsula and several Pacific islands. Participated minimally in the European theater, but expanded its influence in Asia. Japan gained some recognition at the Treaty of Versailles, 1919, but its racial equality proposal was rejected, causing resentment. 7. Between the wars, militarization and imperial ambition. 1920s. Japan was a founding member of the League of Nations, but felt disrespected by the West, especially over immigration and racial equality. 1931, Japan invaded Manchuria and established the puppet state of Manchukuo. 1937, full-scale war with China began, Second Sino-Japanese War, including the infamous Nanjing Massacre. The Japanese military increasingly dominated politics during this period, sidelining civilian government. 8. Why did Japan align with Germany in World War II? Shared fascist ideology. By the late 1930s, Japan's government resembled a military dictatorship. It admired Germany's military strength and anti-communist stance. Anti-West sentiment. Japan was frustrated by Western resistance to its expansion in Asia, especially the U.S. embargoes on oil and steel. Axis Pact, Tripartite Pact 1940, Japan joined Germany and Italy to form the Axis powers. The alliance was primarily strategic. Note, Japan and Germany didn't coordinate closely, especially early in the war. Japan was focused on Asia and the Pacific, while Germany targeted Europe and North Africa. 9. World War II, the Pacific War. Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, Dec 7, 1941, bringing the U.S. into the war. Rapid Japanese conquest followed in Southeast Asia and the Pacific. Eventually, the U.S. and Allies pushed back, culminating in the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, August 1945. Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945. Summary timeline, year, event. 1853 to 54, U.S. opens Japan, Commodore Perry. 1868, Meiji Restoration. 1894 to 95, war with China, Japan wins Taiwan. 1904 to 2005, war with Russia, Japan wins Korea. 1914-18, joins WY with Britain. 1931, invades Manchuria. 1937, full war with China. 1940, joins Axis with Germany. 1941 to 45, World War II in the Pacific.